What is up, all you individuals out there? Thank you for clicking this video. It's your boy, full-time anime. Wait, what? I'm sorry. Can you say that again? No. You can't be serious. He actually did that? Prove it. I need proof before I can take action. What? Let me see. Bakugo. And for that's where I'm gonna have to end the story. Sorry to leave you on such a cliffhanger, but just a little something I'm trying. Okay. I got this. Let me go get him real quick. Don't leave. Our subscribers. With a cliffhanger. Okay. I'm sorry to do that. I get back in that stadium, and you go make this story like 30 minutes long. And I'm not kidding. Okay. I'll make it 30 minutes long. It better be. And just to make sure you don't go back on your word. I'll be keeping this. What is up, all you individuals out there? Thank you for clicking this video. I'm your guy, full-time anime man, and this is What If Deku Was in the Dino Squad, Part 6. So, where do I start? Well, the last time we left off, Izuku had just received his specialized hero suit, and All Might came in saying that they were about to do a cavalry battle. And where we last left off, like in canon, Izuku and Uraraka were chosen as the heroes, while Bakugo and Ida were chosen as the villains. Oh, just giving to that, here it goes. My dog is trying to destroy my pillow right now. Stop it. We then skip to the building where the battle will be taking place. Izuku and Uraraka are strategizing a plan for victory, while Ida is thinking of ways to play the villain. Bakugo just wants to fight Izuku and tells Ida to stay and to protect the bomb. The match has started, and the heroes make their way inside the building. A few minutes go by, and Izuku hears Bakugo trying to sneak up on them, but Izuku whispers into Uraraka's ear to go find the bomb, and to report back to him if she finds it. Uraraka nods and runs the opposite direction. Izuku then walks towards Bakugo, who is hiding behind a corner trying to get the jump on him. But Izuku changes into his first dino form. Bakugo then pops from the corner of the turn and throws an explosion, but when the smoke clears, he sees that no one is there. Bakugo looks around in confusion, saying, "Where the hell did he go?" Little did he know, Izuku was just sticking to the ceiling right above him. Izuku then unsticks from the walls and then lands on Bakugo's back, putting him in a chokehold. Izuku then says, "I still owe you a fight, right?" Bakugo then runs Izuku into a wall, trying to knock him off. When Bakugo sees that Izuku isn't going to let go so easily, and that he feels like he's going to pass out from the chokehold, Bakugo then aims his hand at Izuku's face to let off an explosion. Izuku sees what he is doing and puts both of his feet on Bakugo's back and jumps off of him while doing a backflip. While Bakugo is stumbling forward, Izuku is in a fighting stance, ready to fight. "You almost got me there." Bakugo then lunges at Izuku while throwing an explosion. While this is happening, Uraraka finds the bomb and tells Izuku while she is doing that. Ida is practicing his lines as a villain. While he is practicing, Uraraka gives out a laugh that gives out her location.
"Oh no, I think he spotted me."
"Just keep him distracted, I'll be there soon." While Izuku is distracted, Bakugo sees an opportunity and manages to land an explosion and blows Izuku through a wall, making it cave in. Bakugo thinks he has won against Izuku, but then Izuku jumps from the hole like a crouching tiger attack. Izuku then uses his claws to slash at Bakugo and manages to scratch holes into his hero suit. Bakugo is super angry and throws a right hook at Izuku, but Izuku manages to dodge and grabs his right hand. Bakugo and Izuku are at a tug-of-war over Bakugo's gauntlets. Bakugo then punches Izuku with his left hand and gets Izuku off of him. "What the hell is wrong with you?" Bakugo said. Izuku just stands there, and 5 seconds later, Bakugo's right gauntlet glows red, while Bakugo says, it's ready." Bakugo then goes about explaining the reasons of his gauntlets, and aims his right hand at Izuku. All Might then says over the intercom, "Young Bakugo, stop! You'll kill him if you do that." "It's okay, he'll be fine if he dodges, especially with that speed of his." Bakugo is ready to pull the pin, but finds that he can't because the pin is gone, and says, "What the hell?" He then looks at Izuku, and Izuku smiles and says, "Looking for this?" Izuku then shows Bakugo the broken pin from his gauntlet that he took, and said, "Yeah, I figured that's what they were for, so I used the opportunity I had to disarm both of your gauntlets." Bakugo looks surprised, and Izuku says, "But my teammate needs me, so I'm going to have to cut this fight short." Izuku then takes a big inhale of air and lets out a loud Tyrannosaurus Rex roar while in his human form that sends Bakugo into 3 walls, rendering him unconscious. Izuku then makes his way to the bomb. Uraraka is all over the place trying to tag the bomb, but Ida keeps moving it around the room. While this is going on, Izuku tells Uraraka a plan he has, and Uraraka says, "Okay." Uraraka then stands there in place, panting. Ida then says, "Oh, what's this? Are you tired already, hero?" After Ida said that, the ground starts to shake. He then looks to the door and hears a T-Rex roar. Ida just stands there with a scared look on his face. While he's distracted, Uraraka touches the bomb, giving the heroes victory. Izuku then walks in front of the door, showing himself. Ida gives out a sigh of relief, but then looks back and sees the bomb has been claimed. "The heroes have won," said All Might over the intercom. After that, we skip to the end of the cavalry battle, and Izuku is dubbed the MVP. When all is said and done, Izuku is about to head home, but when he reaches the exit to the UA premises, he is stopped by Bakugo saying, "Hey, Izuku." Izuku then turns around and looks at Bakugo, and then he says, "Good job on beating me, but next time you won't be so lucky, so keep training." Izuku just smiles and heads his way home. We then skip to the next day, and everyone in class is talking. Aizawa enters the room and announces that it's time they choose a class representative. Everyone stood up and wanted to be class rep themselves, but Ida says that they should make this demographic and vote for one. And so they did. Everyone thought about how good Izuku did not only to the entrance exams, but how he did on the cavalry test, and thinks he could be a good representative. So most of the people voted for Izuku. While Momo Yaoyorozu had the second most votes, putting her the second class representative. Izuku then says, "Thank you all for those who voted for me. I promise to be a good class representative." After that was said and done, we then cut to the cafeteria. Uraraka, Izuku, and Ida sit down and are having a conversation about their motives for being heroes. Uraraka talks about how she joined this group to claim money for her family, while Ida talks about his brother, Ingenious. Sorry if I said that wrong. But it is interrupted by an alarm saying, "Emergency, emergency, the school has been infiltrated." Everyone in the cafeteria begins to panic. While this is going on, Izuku is pushed against the window and sees that the press has made their way inside. Izuku thinks for a second, and he thinks that he should probably dino out and tell everyone that it's just the press outside. He gets an easier idea. He turns into his first dino form and uses his claws to climb the walls and make his way to the top of the exit to get in everybody's view. But everyone keeps running, knocking each other down, and when Izuku sees that Uraraka has been pushed down, he then lets out a loud T-Rex roar that catches everyone's attention. They all look up at him, and Izuku says, "Everyone calm down, stop panicking. It's just the press, they've made their way inside." After they all see it for themselves that the press has entered, everyone that heard the message calmed down. Uraraka smiles at Izuku. After that was said and done, we then skip to the next day, and Aizawa announces that they will be taking a trip to the unforeseen simulation joint, or as you all know it, the USJ. Everyone aboards the bus, and Sue is the first to start a conversation, saying,
Hey, Midoriya, I have to ask, what's it like to change in and out of a dinosaur?
Everyone looks at Izuku, wondering the same thing. Izuku just sits there for a second and finds the right words. Well, I guess you could say it's like flexing muscles you didn't know you had. It took me a couple of transformations to get used to the sensation. The first time I changed, it really hurt my entire body. Izuku then stands up and then flexes his tail out while staying in his human form. He then says, "Here, feel it." Sue then says,
Wow, this is really solid. You know, people could easily mistake you for being Ojiro in Ojiro's family.
Kirishima then asks, "Well, what about that glow when you hit that ball into space and the zero pointer? What was that?" Izuku is nervous, wondering what to say about that until he comes up with an idea, saying it's a family genetic enhancement ability. "I was told by my dad that it sometimes skips a generation, and I was just lucky enough to get it." Sue then says,
Wow, impressive. So you basically have two quirks.
Yes I do," said Izuku. We then cut to the entrance of the USJ. Everyone is about to enter the building when Izuku says, "Everybody, wait!" Everyone, including Aizawa, looks at Izuku wondering what's going on. Izuku then smells the air and says, "There's something going on inside." Aizawa then peeks inside and sees a group of thugs and a man with, for some reason, hands all over his body. He has 13 as a hostage. The handman then says, "Listen, we came here to kill the symbol of peace, and we brought a friend to do so. We just have to wait for the students to arrive." Aizawa hears everything that the man just said, and so did Izuku. Aizawa says to the students, "We have a situation. I need one of you to go back to school and inform the teachers of this." Izuku then looks at Ida and says, "Ida, you're the fastest one here. Can you do it?" Ida then nods and heads his way back to school for help. Aizawa tries to call the police or a pro hero, but the signals were jammed. Aizawa then looks back into the building and sees that one of the thugs were about to hurt 13, and he jumps in to stop this from happening, but not before telling everyone to stay put and to be quiet. Aizawa then intervenes and uses his scarf to grab the thugs. Aizawa then fights against the villains, and everyone just watches from the door. Everyone is impressed by their teacher's skill in combat, but got a little too excited and made a noise that caught the attention of a man who's wearing all purple and looks like his head is on fire of purple flames. This is Korogiri, by the way. Korogiri sees them, and he makes a portal right underneath them and drops them in different parts of the USJ. And like in canon, Izuku, Sue, and Mineta are on the boat area. When Izuku lands in the water, a shark figure is swimming towards him. Izuku then uses his new shouting ability to shock the shark, temporarily paralyzing it. After that, Sue then pulls Izuku from the water on the boat, along with Mineta. After they aboard the boat, the three teenagers discuss their quirks and how they could use it to their advantage against the water thugs. Izuku goes into more details about his dinosaur abilities and transformation and his so-called quote-unquote enhancement abilities. We all know it's one for all. Telling them he could use it around his body, even in his human form. Sue then says, "For my quirk, I have almost all the abilities of a frog." Mineta then says, "Well, I have these sticky balls. Their strengths are vary. Depending on how I'm feeling, they can stick to someone or something all day." Izuku thinks that they could use that to their advantage and comes up with a plan. But before he can say what it is, a man with a shark for a head tries to bite Sue while her back is turned. But Mineta is the first to take action and throws a sticky ball in the shark's mouth, making it impossible for him to open his mouth again. Izuku then uses Dino Shout to blow the thug away off of the boat. Sue then says,
"Thanks, guys."
They both say no problem. Izuku is now thinking that the attackers are getting desperate and that they need to do something now. So, like in canon, Izuku jumps his way above the water and uses One for All. He flings the water, making a whirlpool. He then tells Sue and Mineta to go, and Sue uses her tongue to catch Izuku while holding Mineta to take them to dry land. Izuku then tells Mineta to do it now, and Mineta begins to throw his balls into the water at the thugs while they're stuck in the whirlpool, thereby trapping them all together. After they make it to shore, they see that Aizawa is getting exhausted from all the fighting. They quietly approach Aizawa, observing the fight. Aizawa is finishing off the last thug, but his eyes are a bright red from using his quirk for too long. Aizawa thinks that the fight is over when he is approached by the Handman. Aizawa tries to grab the man with his scarf, but the man grabs his scarf while charging at Aizawa, and Aizawa does the same by charging back at him. Aizawa then manages to elbow the man in his stomach. Izuku, Sue, and thinks that it's all over. But what Aizawa didn't know was that the man came into contact with his elbow. Aizawa then grunts in agony as he looks to see the man is touching his elbow and his jacket begins to decay away. And it immediately, the skin on his elbows peel away. Blood begins to drop onto the ground. The Handman begins to laugh. Aizawa then kicks the man away off of him. 3 other bad guys come to the Handman's aid. Aizawa grunts even louder as he feels like his arm is going to fall off. As Aizawa begins to pant, the Handman then monologues about how Aizawa's power is only for small groups, and how he failed to see that he wasn't the man to kill All Might. Aizawa turns around and a portal appears right behind him, and a sort of bulky humanoid figure appears from it. This abomination has scars all over its body. Its muscles were unbelievably huge. And the thing that stood out most about this monstrous thing was that its brain was exposed, with a beak for a mouth and its eyes that had no soul behind them. Aizawa stood there in fear, unable to move. The huge monster then grabbed Aizawa by his head and repeatedly slammed his head to the solid concrete ground, over and over and over again. Izuku, Sue, and Mineta are both in shock about what is going on in their teacher's situation. The thing that shocked Izuku the most was the blood of his teacher staining the ground. He felt an emotional river of anger, disbelief, and rage. Something inside Izuku wanted nothing but carnage, nothing but blood of the unkind. Izuku's eyes widen. He then gets up from his hiding spot, and Sue then says,
"Wait, where are you going?"
But Izuku continues to make his way to the bad people. Mineta and Sue try to follow, but Izuku raises his hands towards them, telling them to stay. As Izuku gets closer and closer, the handman sees him coming and says, "Oh, well, what do we have here?" The rest of the thugs look at Izuku with an angry look on his face. They all laugh, thinking Izuku is nothing but a shrimp. The handman tells the thugs to kill him. One thug with big, hairy arms says, "With pleasure." He then walks up to Izuku and said, "Kid, this is going to hurt you a lot more than..." what am I saying? He then throws a right hook at Izuku, but Izuku then blocks it, unfazed. The man then sees that the hit didn't bother Izuku at all and then said, "What the hell?" He then tries to hit Izuku again, but this time Izuku dodges, hitting the man in the face using his super strength, instantly knocking him out. Another thug charges at Izuku. Izuku then goes into his first dino form, and then he slashes at the thug, slashing him in his legs, his arms, and on his stomach, making him bleed everywhere, putting him into submission. The handman is shocked of what he sees. This small boy won against two people twice his size. He then looks to Korigiri and says, "Send him away." Korigiri then makes a portal in front of Izuku, but then Izuku stretches out his dinosaur tail and then repeatedly spins around in a circle, fanning Korigiri away far, far from them. From then on, all that was left is Izuku, the Nomu, and the handman. The Nomu is still on Aizawa with his head pinned down to the ground. Izuku looks to the handman and says, in a very scary tone, "There has been enough innocent bloodshed today. Walk away, and I'll let you keep your legs." The handman then laughed at these statements. "Well, before the fun can begin, why don't I go after your friends over there?" The handman then runs past Izuku, but Izuku uses his tail to trip him. While he is on the ground, he yells to the Nomu, "Nomu, snap his neck!" Izuku's eyes widen from what the man just said. While he was looking, the man then got back up and proceeded to run towards Sue and Mineta. He reached his hand out and is in close range of Sue to touch her face. While this happens, the Nomu has Aizawa in both of his hands, ready to twist his head. Izuku's body then shakes, and then he yells, "Dino out!" Within milliseconds, Izuku is now in his T-Rex form. Izuku then spins in a circle and hits the handman with his snout before he could touch Tsuyu's face. And at the same time, he hits the Nomu with his tail before doing any further damage to their teacher. Izuku gives out a loud, raging roar, and then he runs his way towards the handman. Izuku then stands over this man and roars right in his face. His ears begin to bleed as he lies there confused. The Nomu then lunges itself at Izuku, getting him away from the handman. Izuku, still in his T-Rex form, then gets up and charges at the Nomu and attempts to bite him. But the Nomu then dodges by jumping past Izuku, but Izuku uses One For All in his tail and swings at the Nomu, hitting it against the wall. Its blood is splattered all over the walls. Izuku then walks his way to the injured teacher and picks him up carefully with his mouth, trying to not do any damage. Taking him to Sue and Mineta, saying,
"Take him away from here, and wait for the help to come. It should be here any minute now."
"Okay," said Isuyu and Mineta. While they go, Izuku feels pain in his tail. He looks back and sees that the same Nomu is pulling at his tail. The Nomu then begins to spin around with Izuku. If you guys haven't played like Mario 64, it's kind of like the one level where you go up against Bowser and you have to like grab his tail and then spin him around in a circle until you like knock him into a mine of some sort, just to help your imaginations there. The Nomu is spinning in an incredible speed. Izuku grows dizzy from this, and the Nomu lets go of him. He flies across the room. Izuku then thinks to himself, how did he recover from that? He must have a sort of healing quirk. Izuku grows worried that it might not be possible for him to defeat this monster. But he gets back up and makes his way back to the fight. Izuku runs into the Nomu and knocks it on the ground. Izuku gets an idea and he decides to bite off the Nomu's legs. Izuku then looks and sees for himself that the Nomu does indeed have a fast regeneration ability, but he slams the Nomu away using his tail in One For All. But after doing that for a while, his tail starts to feel immense pain, but then he brushes it off. Izuku makes his way to the Nomu, but at the same time, he comes across Todoroki. He then calls him over and asks him if he's alright. "Yeah, I'm fine. What is that thing you're fighting?"
"I heard the villains call it a Nomu. It's very strong and it has a fast regeneration quirk."
After a couple of seconds, Izuku looks at Todoroki and gets an idea. "Wait, I have an idea." "Well, what is it?" A few seconds later, and the Nomu finishes recovering and gets up. Izuku is rushing at the Nomu with Todoroki on his back. The Nomu then charges at Izuku while Todoroki throws a glacier of ice, keeping it at bay. Izuku then approaches the Nomu using One For All in his tail, and he repeatedly hits the Nomu over and over again with his tail. And a few seconds later, and a couple of seconds of pain afterwards, the Nomu's blood, organs, and limbs are splattered all over the hole in the ground that he created from hitting the Nomu so many times. The Nomu then tries to start regenerating, but Izuku yells to Todoroki, "Now!" Todoroki then throws ice at the Nomu's organs and limbs. Then that gives them victory, because since the Nomu is in pieces and that it's frozen, it can't fully regenerate quickly. So there's really nothing, so that pretty much stops his regeneration temporarily until the ice melts. Luckily, Todoroki's ice can last for a long time, however he wants. Izuku turns back into a man. After a few seconds of breathing, Izuku says, "Good job." After he said that, the main entrance to the door burst open. "I am here!" can be heard from there. All Might then emerges from the door with other professional heroes The handman gets up and sees this and says, "Damn it, where's the Nomu?" After calling out its name a couple of seconds later, he figures that it has been taken down. He then says, "We need to get out of here, now." But something's wrong. He looks around and sees that Izuku is running towards him with his mouth moving, but he can't hear anything. The man then raises his hand to his ears and says, "What have you done to me?" The man charges at Izuku, but he was interrupted by getting shot in the hands and in his legs. Kurogiri then covers him, and then they both teleport away. All the students gather up, and everyone was okay. They found 13, a bit hurt, but she was okay. As for Aizawa, he was in critical condition and had to be taken to the hospital pronto. After all was said and done, the Nomu was put in an icebox with his separate limbs and organs and taken away, along with the rest of the thugs the students helped defeat. A few minutes later, after everyone was questioned, they were all sent home. Izuku thinks back to when he lost control of his body and said those things he would never say. He stops and thinks, "What's happening to me?" All of a sudden, a red limo drives next to Izuku and it stops. Izuku looks and the window of the limo slowly rolls down, reveals a man wearing a red and black suit with long black and red hair. The man said, "Hello, Izuku. My name is Victor Velocci, and I want to help you." Izuku's eyes widen with fear. And that's the end of part 6. Whew. Man, this is getting more and more fun every time I do it. Alright, so, yeah, I think that came out pretty good. So, I'd like to thank you all who clicked on this video, and, man, I just noticed, right, like just now that we're almost close to 60 subscribers. Come on, guys. I know we can do it. Let's get to 60 subscribers. And then once we get to 100 subscribers, I'll show you guys my dog. But not only that, I will read you this new story that I came up with of what if Deku had Maleficent's powers. So, like, yeah, once we get to that, we are going to be set in motion for a successful channel. So, like, yeah, if you made it to this video, consider yourselves #blessed. Thanks again for clicking this video, and I hope you all have a nice day.